Hey guys, welcome back again to Ken Tamplin Vocal Academy, where the proof is in the singing. We got a lot of requests for this one. It's head voice and resonance, or head voice resonance. What is head voice, what is resonance, and how does it work together? Well, actually, depending on who you ask, you're going to get a lot of different definitions from different people, and let me explain what I mean by that. If you go into the opera world and you ask someone in Bel Canto or passaggio and you say, hey, what is head voice? A maestro might say to you, head voice is anything that resonates in the head, and he'll be very emphatic about that. Well, so in other words, let's take Pavarotti when he does the end of Nessun Dorma and he hits that big B at the end and he goes, Vincerò! And it's this big note at the end, right? Well, yeah, that does resonate in his head, but I actually used a form of a reinforced falsetto just now to kind of demonstrate what I'm about to demonstrate in a second. Whereas he would be using a belted chest resonant sound that he's worked out, this big, beautiful, open throat, strongly supported, well-placed vowel sound. And so that would be their definition of head voice. This is true for the soprano as well, except head voice in the soprano is looked at differently because their vocal folds are shaped differently. And head voice can also mean something that resonates within the falsetto register that is nice and bright with a bright timbral sound. Now, why this is important is because I actually have redefined this term for myself over time. And I'll explain why. In the 70s, mid to late 70s, and yes, Grandpa's been doing this a long time, and I've studied the voice for a very long time, there was a shift that happened in the pop contemporary world that kind of separated themselves from the Bel Canto, passaggio, operatic world. And what happened was, when they were trying to create a definition for head voice, for the female voice, they would call chest voice whatever was in their belting register or their call register, as it's called in Broadway, their call or calling out, shouting belting register. And by the way, let's go through the registrations really quick. There's a speaking register, like I'm talking to you now. Then there's a primo passaggio, which is a passageway that goes from your speaking register into your call or belting register that you kind of have to shift gears to get into, right, to go into belt. And then from the belting register on up into your falsetto or head voice register. So again, in the late 70s, what happened was, for the female voice, they just kind of threw it all together and they called anything that was for the female voice in head voice was falsetto or reinforced falsetto. That was their definition. So there was the speaking register, the belting register, and the head voice register. In the male tenor, or the male voice, or baritone and tenor voices, they kept with the tenets of the way the operatic world looked at it, and they said anything that resonates in your head. So you have your speaking register, you have your call or belting register, and then you have your head voice register, which is your call belting register, and then falsetto was something completely different. Now, if you notice too, especially in the opera world, and this is important because a lot of this stuff has this foundation, it comes from all this stuff, and you wonder, gosh, how did they figure all this out, and where did they get this, and what is the foundation for all this stuff? In Bel Canto, if you listen to a tenor, for example, you don't really hear a lot of falsetto stuff. You hear the big bravado, macho top, big belting note at the end of the night, and then that's what the tenor was known for, those big, powerful notes. You didn't really hear any sweet, sensitive, and sometimes you did, but the lyric tenor and some other things, but you didn't really hear a lot of the sensitivities way up in the upper register, in their falsetto register, because in the mind of the maestro didn't care about the softer tones, he cared about the money notes or the big notes. That was what was important to them. So I thought that was really confusing. I thought it was weird to have two different standards for a male voice and a female voice. So I actually chose to just simplify this and say you have your speaking register, you have your call or belting register, and then you have your head voice, which is synonymous with falsetto register, with a little twist. Here's what I mean by that. We can sing in falsetto in a fluty, hooty tone and go, and that's not really, it might be fine for some R&B stuff, but that's not a powerful head voice register. What we want to do is develop a nice bright ping and a powerful head voice register first to grow that and mesh it or marry it together with our chest voice. So we can have one long long, powerful note connecting them, where if I'm singing up really high, you don't know that I'm not in my belting register. You think I'm belting all the way up. Sometimes I am, because I know how to stretch my chest voice up really high, but I also know how to relax and release off into my head voice, because I've grown the resonance of my head voice to match the tone of my chest voice. Now this might sound complicated. It's not as complicated as it sounds, though it's a lot of hard work. By the way, I cover all of this in my singing course called How to Sing Better Than Anyone Else, with all the different exercises necessary and all the different vocal timbres that you have to work at in order to be able to fuse these things together to create that long, powerful note. Let's get back now to the falsetto register. So what we really want to do, in fact, we'll just do a couple quick exercises. Okay, we want to start with a really bright timbral sound. We don't want a fluty-hooty sound. We want it nice and bright. So I've chosen the E vowel because that's one of the brightest, most pointed kind of mask sort of facial sounds that we can use, or vowels that we can use. So I'm going to start on an F sharp 5, and we're going to rock this sound all the way down into our chest voice as far as we can. Now, we don't want to over bloat the sound, so when we get lower, we don't want to push too hard. The goal is to maintain this brightness. Now, we really do need to go through all the vowels, and in my course I have a series of exercises to how to really conquer this, and I can't cover this all in one lesson, like I said, but I just want to give you a flavor of this. So as we go down now, tenors, baries, altos, and contraltos, you're going to start up here. You shouldn't have too much trouble. Sopranos, you might want to start 3 or 4 notes higher and then work your voice down there. And baries, you might have a little bit of a tough time even starting on this first note, but if you can, it's going to go like this, just simple. Maintain a nice bright timbral sound. Now as you get lower, you're going to notice it's a little harder to maintain the brightness and the volume until you've built that muscle up enough to where it can sustain that much sound pressure down as we're going down here. You notice the lower we go, the harder it is to maintain any kind of volume or stability in the sound. So you got to keep working at it to grow that. Now, one more real important thing about this is, like I cover in my course, we can't just do one exercise. We have to do quite a few. However, when we grow our head voice, in the context that I use head voice, or the definition, it actually can atrophy, and usually does, your chest voice. What does atrophy mean? It makes it weak or not as robust. Or you might find that you're losing a couple of notes on your chest voice if you've been working your chest voice register up, because it kind of tears at it a little bit. Well, so when you're all said and done, eventually what you'll do is you'll do your chest voice workouts, like every couple 3 days you do chest voice workout, then you do 1 day of head voice and you do these exercises, then couple 3 days of chest voice, get your chest voice nice and strong again, 1 day of head voice, and eventually then you kind of just combine them as one solid workout to where it doesn't atrophy chest, and like I said, it fuses together for that one long powerful note. All right guys, hope this was helpful to you. God bless you, and until next time, peace out.